Hey guys, it's Mark from Hallmark Pool Supplies. Last fall, I made a video on how to winterize your above ground pool. And today, I'd like to show you guys how we're gonna put our pool back together so we can get it ready for the summer. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna obviously remove the cover off the pool. And when doing so, you guys know that there's gonna be water on top of the cover, there's gonna be debris, there's gonna be trash. And so what you wanna do is get a cover pump and put it on top of the cover so that we can pump the water off so we're able to remove the cover. Now, what I like to do is I like to get a bucket like this and take the bucket and we set it sideways on top of the cover so that this way the water goes into the bucket. Then you put your pump inside the bucket, and so this way it's siphoning water off of the cover and it's not siphoning water through the cover, lowering the water in the pool. I also like to sometimes put a screen over this. That way it keeps the pump free from any dirt or debris and it doesn't clog it up. It allows it to drain so that we can remove all that water. Once we've got the water off, then we're able to pull the cover off, and then I'm gonna get ready to show you guys how we put the system together. So if you guys happen to need any cover pumps, I do have them on my website, and I will post links down below so that you guys will be able to see this item along with any other items that are related to this video. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start hooking up the hoses from the pool to the system. I'm gonna grab my skimmer hose here. I'm gonna get this on, and we're gonna make sure that we get it nice and tight. So we're good, and hook it up to our pump. Make sure this end is good and tight. So we've got that ready. And then we're gonna hook up our return line, and this is very important. A lot of this is by memory, and if you guys forget, on the multi-port, every port is labeled return, pump, and this one says waste. So obviously we're gonna now hook up the return. I'm gonna get it on. Making sure we got this one good and tight. Come over here and we hook up the return. Make sure this one's good and tight. Okay. Now after doing so, we're gonna come over here to our pump. We're gonna open up the lid. And if you recall, when we winterized the pool, we put everything inside here. So this way there's no hunting and looking for stuff. We know exactly where everything is. We've got our pressure gauge, our return fitting, our drain for the filter, our drain plug for the pump, and our sight glass with washer for the sight glass. And what we're gonna do is we're going to put our sight glass in, making sure that the washer is still good. We're gonna pop that in, and then we're gonna screw our sight glass in. And that just goes in hand tight. We're gonna take our drain cap for the filter, make sure that the washer's in here, it's good, it's clean, everything looks good. And we're gonna screw this on the bottom of the filter. Making sure this is good and tight. It only needs to be hand tight. There is a gasket in there, so we just make sure that's tight so we don't have any leaks. Then we're gonna do our pressure gauge. And there's still a little bit of tape on here from when we took it off, but I will freshen it up and put a little more tape on there. We wanna make sure that that doesn't leak. So we're just gonna take our tape. We're just going to wrap it a few times around the pressure gauge, making sure that we've got enough tape on it. And then I'm going to be able to come over here and screw this in. We want to make sure that we're lining it up. We're not cross-threading it, and we don't want to over-tighten it. And we want to make sure that that's good and straight. So we got our pressure gauge in, and then we're going to come to the pump. Now on this system, this is a Hayward system, so we are working with the Hayward Power Flow Matrix, and this particular pump only has one drain plug in the front. This drain plug has a O-ring on it, so it just needs to go on hand tight. We want to inspect the O-ring, make sure we're good, and then we can put it in right here. And if you guys don't have an O-ring, or you have an older pump that doesn't have O-rings, then you do need to make sure that these pump plugs are Teflon taped or they will leak. And now that I've got it in, I'm just going to snug it up a little bit, making sure that she's good and tight, because if it's not, you'll have leaks, and we don't want that. And then at this point in time, I'll put my lid back on. I'm not going to secure it on yet, and I'll explain later, but we're going to put it on right there. So if you guys have a pump that has more than one plug, such as a Dynamo by Pentair, we've got to make sure that we put both plugs, the one in the front as well as the one that's in the back. Now, this particular pump also has O-rings on their plugs, and you need to inspect those, make sure the O-rings are good. If the O-rings are damaged or you have an older pump that doesn't have O-rings, you need to make sure that these are also Teflon taped so that we don't have any leaks. Okay, so now I've got to put the return fitting in. So let's go over here to the return. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach over and I'm going to remove the plug that we put in. We've got that there, and we're going to put the return fitting in. And once that's in, we make sure that the eyeball is pointing in this direction, away from the skimmer, so that the pool circulates counterclockwise. That's very important. So we've got that in now. Now we're going to come over to the skimmer, and we're going to remove our skimmer guard. We had a skimmer guard in here that we put in to protect the skimmer, and we're going to unscrew that. And the reason I left the lid off earlier on the pump was when I do this, the pump now can fill with water. And once the pump is filled with water, then we can just secure this back down. So that way we've got it primed. And then what we want to do is I want to take my lever off of the winner position. I want to put it into backwash. I've got my valve open here for my backwash. And what I like to do is I like to start the system up on backwash. We're going to just backwash it and rinse it briefly. That just basically wakes up the sand, flushes it out because it's been sitting all winter. We're now going to turn it on. And we're going to backwash it a little bit. And of course, for those of you that had to lower the water, or you've pumped the water off, or the water level is too low, we obviously have to make sure the water level in the pool is up to par before we start the system. But at this point in time, I am now going to do a quick rinse. It looks like everything is good. And I'm now going to turn it off and put it in the filter position. So now we're ready to turn it on and filter it. We turn it on. I can see that the eyeball is a little high. So we're going to turn it down just a little bit. And you want a nice wake on top of the pool, not as high as it was, and you don't want it pointing too far down because then you don't get the top to circulate as well. So we want to have it flowing just like so. I want to come over here now and inspect everything, all the plugs, the hoses, the fittings, to make sure that there's no leaks. And everything does appear to be running fine, but it is very important that we do check everything because you don't want to have any leaks. And everything so far looks good. Okay, looks like everything's running good, no leaks. And for those of you guys that have a light, I'm going to show you how we set up the light, because this is just a return, but I'll show you how we do that. Okay, so for those of you that have a light, I'm going to show you how we unplug and put the light back together, kind of like we did in the other video. This is an aqua illuminator. It's one of the more popular lights. And basically all we're going to do is we're going to put our hand here. We're going to remove our plug. And this was a number 9 expandable plug. We're going to remove the plug. Now we're going to be able to take our light fixture, as you see here, and go under and push this in. And once we get it in, then we'll be able to put our lock nut on. And at this point in time, we don't just hook up the electric, because if this is a little bit wet from putting it in, we want to make sure that this is good and dry. And as long as this is good and dry, then we're going to be able to hook up our electric. And as I said before in the other video, it does not matter which wire goes where. You just plug one to one and one to the other. It does not matter. Once we get that hooked up, we'll be able to plug that in, and then we'll be able to hook our hose up, tighten our clamp on our hose, and that's how we set it up if you guys have the aqua illuminator light. So that wraps it up. So the only thing left is make sure that you guys grab a water sample of your pool, take it to your local pool store so they can test your water and get your pool balanced, so you guys will be ready for the summer. I hope that you guys found this video to be helpful, and if you have any questions, comment down below or feel free to contact me. I will be glad to help. I will also be posting a link down below for items that we've talked about in this video. And at this time, I would like to thank all of our subscribers. We have finally reached that 1,000 subscriber mark, and it does mean a lot. I do appreciate it. For all your pool needs, remember us at hallmarkpoolsupplies.com. My name is Mark, and as always, I do appreciate you watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.